Right, thank you. I came to Gibraltar since I was 4 years old. I've been going in and out. And just recently, I came here on a full-time basis, and I met Mommy Levi, which I'm sure you all know very well. I went looking for accommodation, and it was very clear that this man had a lot of love to give. As I've been here in Gibraltar, I found that there's such a tolerance here, that as Gibraltarians, you welcome anybody, including me. It's a celebration that the Muslims and the Jewish and the Hindu and the Christian and the atheist and the black and the white and the green and the whatever color is welcome here. That is very rare in today's society. Don't get me wrong, Gibraltar is not a utopia. It's not that paradise in the sun that is so often portrayed on British TV. There is a problem with the neighbours that seems to spoil a few things. The main motivation for my speech today was actually from my own daughter. We were up at Europa Point. It was one of those fantastic sunset moments back in November. And you could see the new university, you could see the dolphins in the bay. And we walked along all the gun emplacements, all the history. And we get to the Sikorsky Memorial, and there's some red poppies. It's November. And I duly started to tell my doctor, stop that. I'm bored. I've no battery. That's history. I'm only interested in the future. Well, that was November, and I've had some time to think about things. And it's clear that the next generation have not been told the message of sacrifice and the poverty that we come from with our ancestors. So today, I'm going to go through some history. This is Norrie Merton. He was my grandfather. He left school at 13 and he lived in Wakefield in North Yorkshire. At 17, he came out of the pits and he joined the King's Own Light Infantry. At the time, he was highly motivated by the media, and he was going to do his bit for king and country. He was going to kill the German animal, the wife killer, the baby eater, and all the fear that the media could raise at the time. The first Remembrance Sunday was actually in August, and this was long before the slaughter started to take place. He was a sniper, and he duly dispatched many Germans into the next world. In return, he got gassed twice, and he got shot in the calf. It was supposed to be the war to end all wars. These Tommies are all gone now, and we know about Flanders Fields and the bloodbath that they went through. This was a place where, if you didn't march forward, your own military leaders would shoot you in the back. There were 18,000 conscientious objectors, but they were labeled as cowards. They were shot or made to be stretcher bearers unarmed in the battlefields. They came back after the war, and they celebrate the red poppy, as we all know, on the 11th day, the 11th hour, on the 11th month. It's a sad occasion. Unfortunately, the red poppy is no longer the neutral symbol it was. And all these men came back and said, lest we forget, no more war. Oops, sorry, let me go back one. Time went on, and they actually did begin to forget. The first white poppies were done by the Women's Peace Movement in 1933. It takes a woman to actually feel what was going on and produce these white poppies. Of course, the Nazis were building power in Germany, and they were trying to emphasize no more war. My grandfather died an early death because of the gassing that he suffered. There was no NHS, there was no support, there was only the British Legion and charity and church to support his growing family. This is Harry Leslie Smith. He's a war veteran, and he reminds me very much of my uncles. My grandfather had to send 3 of his children off to fight the same enemy just a few years later. Now, the neutral symbol of the poppy over the years has been diluted. And I'm going to quote or paraphrase Harry here, because I don't want to get it wrong. These are his words, and obviously it's quite difficult in this situation. And these are his words, and he is now refusing to wear the red poppy for many reasons. The old enemies became friends, and old friends have become enemies. Wars were started by an uncaring elite whose only concern was the preservation of their privileges, profits, and position in an unjust society. He goes on to say, wars are used to maintain colonies, shore up alliances, preserve dictators, expand commerce, and diminish civil liberties through the nefarious war on terror. Red Poppy Day is no longer an event about regret for the cruel waste of lives, nor apology for the millions wantonly killed, even less a commitment to put an end to war. Those are his words. The white poppy is a complement to the red poppy. It is not a replacement. I remember on Remembrance Sunday, my family and my lost ones. It's about my family, our side. The white poppy, especially in today's modern warfare where 80 to 90% of the casualties are innocent women and children. It's about the other side. It's about finding an alternative way of finding a negotiation. It is not a dove. It's not that make love, not war. It's peace, man, when you're stoned out of your head. The dove is about an inner peace and inner tranquility. We have that standard law. Do unto others as they would do unto you. Peace also has to acknowledge history. For example, if you had the totally passive Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi, that approach would never have defeated the evil Nazis. Publius Flavius was a 4th century Roman who said, if you want peace, prepare for war. Peace through strength. Now that's fine, providing there aren't any nuclear weapons. Unfortunately, technology's moved on, the weapons have got worse. And this particular representation is Khrushchev and Kennedy. 1962, the Bay of Pigs and the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were all annihilated. We were that close to Armageddon. It was mad. Mutual, assured destruction. That is not peace. That's a ceasefire. There are better ways. 1 year later, 1963, Kennedy did his great Peace in Our Time speech. You know, it's a small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all nurture our children's future. He asked, what is peace? What do you want? We want a peace where it's worthwhile to live on this earth. Can we go back one, please? I always have this problem. There we go. I'm going, Okay. Winston Churchill himself said in 1947, the United States of Europe. 1 year later, the French and the Germans got together and they started a European Union. There was no love. Millions had died. It was not about love. It was about trying to avoid and learn from the past, the mistakes that had happened. 1950, Robert Schuman, a French minister, said that the aim of the European construction, which is a man-made construction, was world peace. It was never about bureaucracy. It was never about the euro. It was never about sovereignty. It was about peace. We all know that Europe is in a hell of a mess at the moment. We all know about Brexit, and it all brings us a fear. It is time to start building bridges one way or another. It takes the women of this world to put some common sense in. It seems to be the men that make war, generally speaking. There's one or two, of course, on the other side. This is Mo Molam. She, This is Mo Mowlam. She negotiated the Good Friday Agreement and spent many years of her life taking away the knives, taking away the bullets, and taking away, eventually, the guns. She didn't get the credit, really. Her boss went on to put his jackboots on and go looking for weapons of mass destruction that were not there. Daughters, future wives, future mothers, please learn from this woman. We live in a global village. We travel willy-nilly. It's very different from our grandfather's day. We live in the global village, but we all know who the village idiot is right now. They build walls. They tell lies. They evoke the young people. They forget history. I'd like to believe that when John Lennon came here, he was inspired like I have been with Gibraltar. 1969, he came here to get married. He dared to imagine peace. They called him a dreamer, and he was not the only one. So how are you going to join him? How are you going to join him? Daughters, wives, mothers, I need you to wear peace in your heart, not just on Remembrance Day. The white poppy is for democracy. The white poppy is for justice. The white poppy is for peace. Lest we forget, no more war. Thank you.